everybody, it's Ms. Hamill and I'm here to talk to you today about ecology. Now this is just a basic introductory lecture. We will talk more about each section of this brief lecture in the future. So before we begin to talk about ecology, you must understand what it is. So what do ecologists study? Well, they can actually study all of the basic biological sciences. So botanists, they study the plants. Zoologists, they study the animals. Microbiologists study the microorganisms such as bacteria. Geneticists study genetics and gene flow. Evolution is very important, so the survival and the changing of organisms over time. And physiology, so how organisms function in their environment and how certain parts of that organism function. Now, really what's important is population and conservation biology. So this is going to be the study of populations and how they grow and change over time, and how we can protect and conserve our populations in endangered species and even our own human populations. So ecologists can study wildlife, fisheries, agriculture, range science, and forestry, and they also study how humans impact these systems and these fields. So what is ecology? The simple, basic definition is the study of the interactions between organisms and other organisms and between the organisms and their environment. So it's how organisms interact with one another and how they are pretty much dependent on each other, and how basically they impact one another and their environment. So what they need from the environment, what they need from one another. So ecology can be divided or broken down into increasingly comprehensive levels, and we'll discuss each one of these individually, starting with the individual. So the individual is going to be any organism of the same species. And the example we have here is an individual elk. Now, a species is going to be organisms that are so closely related genetically that they can inbreed or have babies with one another. So individuals are not going to breed with individuals from another group. Our next is a population, and a population is going to be a group of individuals of a given species that live in the same area at the same time. So here it would be all of the elk living on this mountain. If you think of Florida, it could be all of the alligators living in the Everglades. All of the humans living in the United States. Those would be populations. Next is our community, and community is going to include all of the populations that live in the specific area at that specific time. So it's going to include populations of different species. So here, our example, we have a community of our elk and a wolf and a beaver and an owl and a rabbit, trees, bacteria, so all of the different organisms, all of the different species that live in a particular area at a particular time. The next level that we have is our ecosystem, and this is a very important level when we're discussing ecology. In fact, it is the structural and functional unit that is studied in ecology. And ecosystems involve important interactions between the biotic and abiotic factors of an ecosystem. The biotic factors are going to be the living factors in the ecosystem. So it will be all the different organisms that are alive or were once living. The abiotic factors are going to be the non-living factors that influence the ecosystem and the organisms living there. So that would be the sunlight, the weather, water, soil, air. So all of these factors do play a role on the survival of these organisms. So it's very important. And again, we'll talk more about this in the future. Next is a biome, and a biome is going to be a set of ecosystems that share similar characteristics with their abiotic factors, and the organisms are going to be adapted to their environments. So, for example, rainforest. All rainforests on Earth are pretty much characterized by having a lot of rainfall. They're pretty warm, and they are pretty much around the same area on our Earth. So if you just follow the equator, there would be rainforest. Now, the organisms that live in the rainforest are going to be similar all around the world because of their habitat that they live in. So they have similar abiotic factors. So we'll discuss more about biomes in the future as well. But it is ecosystems with similar characteristics. And finally, our biosphere is going to be the sum of all of the ecosystems established on Earth. Our biosphere is our planet. It is all the organisms that live on our planet, all of the abiotic or non-living factors that influence these organisms, and all of the interactions between the not living and non-living things. And how humans impact our biosphere is a really important thing to think about when we're studying ecology. How are we changing our planet for the positive, and how are we changing it for the negative? Think about that when you are reviewing ecology and in the future lectures. So I hope you have a great night and study on.